What's up, crew? Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I have a freaking awesome video, a different video in store for you today. Today we are going to be talking about the top 10 ways that you can lose weight in the next 30 days. Let's get started. So like I said, today we are going to be talking about the top 10 ways to lose weight quickly within the next 30 days. Now, it's almost spring break. I'm sure you guys are trying to get shredded for the summertime, just like I was about 5 years ago when I started my fitness journey. And today I'm going to talk to you about my top 10 favorite ways, methods, tips, and tricks that I use to lose weight along my way. Now, just a quick disclaimer, I am not a health professional, I am not a personal trainer, I am not a dietitian, nor am I a nutritionist. So these things that I am saying to you today can be taken with a grain of salt. These are things that I have used. I'm not saying you should use them, but I'm saying that you could use them and they have worked for me in the past. The first tip to lose weight is to lose the junk food. I'm talking about sodas, candy, chips, salsa, dips, fried foods, all of that stuff. You don't need it. It's absolutely horrible. And these types of foods usually have what I like to call empty calories, which means that they have a really high caloric value but don't have very good nutrients. So for example, you can have a can of soda. It might only be 100 calories, but it might have 45 grams of sugar, it might have 15 grams of fat, and it might have like 30 grams of carbs. That's not that great of a beverage for you to drink. So, I mean, everyone knows this. There's not really much that needs to be said. Lose the junk food. Stop eating garbage. Plain and simple. And that actually leads me into tip number 2, which is you should be tracking your macronutrients and not just tracking your calories. Your macronutrients are going to consist of your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. Those are the main 3 macronutrients. When you're just tracking your calories, you're not tracking the nutrients that are within your food. So if you're eating high-fat foods all day and you're only counting your calories, you might be thinking that you're doing a great job, when in reality, you're actually not. And this could be causing you to not lose weight. And now my favorite method for tracking my macronutrients is to use a food scale to weigh out everything that I eat to make sure that I'm not overeating my portions based on the nutritional facts on the backs of the foods that I'm eating. And I'm also using MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is an app that you can get on Apple devices, Android. It has the largest food database on the planet. So literally, you got to eat almost 9 times out of 10, you can find the food on this app and you can log it appropriately without having to weigh your food like I do. And it's really, really great because you can actually set up your own personal goals. You can go in and you can type in your current height, age, weight, and activity level, and if you are honest with it, it will give you a very accurate result of your maintenance calories and the calories that you should be eating on a daily basis if you wanted to lose weight. And you can actually set goals. So if you wanted to lose 1 pound per week, half a pound per week, or even lose 2 pounds per week, depending on how drastic you want it to be, it will allow you to do that. And you can also set it up to maintain your current weight or gain weight at the similar rate to losing it. It's just customizable to you. Great app to use. Definitely highly suggest that you check it out. The third tip to lose weight fast is to not fall for BS diets and supplements. So pretty much anything that says lose weight fast and have ultimate energy is most likely going to be a glorified fat burner with a little bit of caffeine in it, which is not necessarily beneficial for your weight loss, because the second that you stop taking something like that, you're going to have a weight relapse because your body's learned to rely on this fat burner to burn the fat for it. Therefore, it's not going to have to try. As soon as you stop taking it, it's not going to know what to do. It's going to put back all that weight that you just lost. Overall, these are never effective methods to lose weight. You're better off just finding foods that you enjoy, eating them in moderation, and you'll be just fine. You don't need these extra supplements. Most of the time, it's just a scam. Now, tip number 4 is one of my top secret methods for burning fat and losing weight, and that is to utilize fasted cardio. Now, fasted cardio means that you are working out and doing cardio specifically on an entirely empty stomach. Now, why does this work? It works because when you're working out and you're doing cardio, most of the time your body's going to go to the food that you have in your system and the carbs that you have in your system for energy. But if you don't have any food in your system at all, what is your body going to use up for energy? it's gonna go to your fat cells. Now this is highly effective in my experience, especially if you do the fasted cardio in the morning before you eat any breakfast. So going out for a run, first thing when you wake up, right after you have your coffee in the morning, or going to the gym and doing cardio before you go to work, that is when this works the best. But if your life schedule dictates otherwise, I would recommend not consuming any food 3 to 4 hours before your cardio session, because that gives your body enough time to digest everything that you've already eaten prior. And you should result in a similar effect, but in my personal opinion, doing it in the morning without any food at all is the best. Tip number 5 is to drink at least 1 gallon of water or more per day. Now, not only is this a great method to use because it keeps you extremely hydrated, but it can be used as an appetite suppressant as well. During my weight loss journey, I always found it really difficult to get through those in-between meal times. I would always get a little bit hungry before I should, and it was really difficult for me to resist eating before it was time for me to eat again. So what I started doing was chugging a ton of water in between these meals. Every time I felt like I was hungry, even though I knew I shouldn't be, I chugged a bunch of water until I was so full that I couldn't stand it. And that would usually hold me over for about 45 minutes to an hour until my next meal. So I highly suggest that you give it a try. Tip number 6 is one of my absolute favorite methods for weight loss, and it is to utilize high intensity interval training. High intensity interval training, or HIIT training, is very popular these days. A lot of people do it. They have workout classes strictly surrounded by this concept, and it is a very effective method for weight loss. Now, when I started using this in college, when I found out what HIIT training was, I literally could not believe the results. I mean, the weight just fell off of me in no time. Like it wasn't even supposed to be there. It was crazy how well this worked for me. Now, the way HIIT training works is actually designed to get your heart rate up into the target zone where you are most able to burn fat cells. And now it does that by utilizing short bursts of very intense workouts, followed by a very brief rest performed in rounds or intervals. Now I'm going to show you a couple of examples of HIIT training that I like to use personally that I found very effective. The first one is going to be this boxing routine. With this boxing routine, I'm going 9 rounds of HIIT training total. I'm doing 1-minute rounds of boxing followed by 30 seconds of rest. This is extremely taxing on the body. It makes you huff and puff and gasp for air. It is so unbelievably hard, but it's so effective. And you can also do this different variations as well. The next HIIT exercise that you're gonna see me do is actually an ab workout focused on the core. I just took my socks off. I'm sliding on the floor doing mountain climbers, focusing on the obliques. Next, I'm bringing my knees up to my chest, doing a reverse crunch. And then I'm following that up by what I call a reverse V sit-up. I'm bringing my feet to my hands, and this is all just burning my core up. What I'm doing this for is 20 seconds for each ab exercise, followed by a 45-second rest for 5 rounds total. Now you can find these 2 exercises and many more in a free HIIT training guide that I'm gonna link for you in the description. This is one that I started using like 3 or 4 years ago when I first started using HIIT training, and I've kept using it ever since then. It has different levels for different levels of ability and endurance, and as you get better at it and you start to get a little bit stronger, a little bit more used to the endurance and the intensity, you can choose the level that would best suit you and challenge you the most. So highly suggest it. Will be linked in the description for you if you want to check it out and give it a shot. Tip number 7 is to cut back on your carb intake. Now, science tells us that carbs are one of the body's main forms of energy. That's why athletes carb up before their big game, their big race, whatever. It's a common practice to carb up the night before a big athletic event. Simply because the body's gonna burn up all those carbs throughout the night and you're gonna have a ton of energy the next day. But that's not necessarily beneficial for fat loss, because when you have carbs in your system, your body's gonna go to that first for energy, but we wanna switch it. So if you cut back on your carb intake, your body's next stop for energy is going to be your fat cells. It's just a natural occurrence. When there's no carbs in the body for energy, the body is going to rely on the next best thing and the most abundance of the next thing, which is going to be your fat cells. So give this a try if you want to. Give it a try for a couple of weeks. Some people don't like this method because they feel tired, they might feel weak, they might feel you know, just kind of out of it because of the carbs. They're so used to relying on those carbs for energy on a daily basis. But if it works for you, then it's definitely beneficial, because it's just going back to that idea again of burning as much fat as efficiently as possible. That's how you're gonna keep losing that weight. Tip number 8 is to drink more coffee. I know that plenty of you out there are coffeeholics just like myself. I drink copious amounts of coffee on a daily basis. But it's actually a really effective way to lose weight. Have you ever noticed that when you drink a cup of coffee, you kind of feel full after it for a little while? That's because coffee acts as an appetite suppressant, just like drinking a bunch of water. Now, the way that I've used this method is very similar to how I treat the gallon of water method, is I'll drink it in between meals. If I feel like I shouldn't be as hungry as I am at the moment, I'll drink a cup of coffee that will hold me over till my next meal. I've also used this if I'm not very hungry in the morning and I want to push out my first meal till say midday, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then I'll have a couple of cups of coffee to hold me over from the morning until that time. Which leads me into tip number 9, which is eat more food and less meals. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, this is a method that I learned about after I was already doing it and I had no idea that I was doing it previously until I read about it. And it's called intermittent fasting. Now, what intermittent fasting is, in short, is that it's essentially creating a gap between your last meal from the previous day and your first meal from the current day. So for example, your gap should be anywhere from 12 to 16 hours without food, and that includes the time that you sleep. So say for example, your last meal was at 8 o'clock at night. You should push it 12 to 16 hours into the next day before you eat again, which should be around 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the following day. Now, why does that work? How could that work? How could that be a method for you to lose weight? Well, for a couple of reasons actually. Number 1, it creates mental discipline. It teaches you not to rely on food. It teaches you that you don't need food the first thing when you wake up in the morning. You don't need to constantly be eating. It teaches you that you can survive and you can be without food for a very long period of time. And the second reason that it works is because it goes back to that same idea where when we don't have carbs or food in our system, what does the body go for energy? It goes for your fat cells. See how this comes full circle? It keeps coming back to that same point, burning fat cells for energy instead of other things. It's because that is one of the most important things in weight loss. It's figuring out every single way possible for you to burn your fat cells. But all of this would be absolutely worthless if you do not follow tip number 10, which is you need to be eating at a calorie deficit. Now, when you set up MyFitnessPal, like I was talking about before, and you set up your account based on your height, age, weight, and activity level, and you are actually honest with it on those things, it will give you a very accurate representation of what your maintenance calories should be, what you could eat to maintain your weight, not gain and not lose. Now, if you want to do a cut, you need to go into a calorie deficit, which means underneath what would be your maintenance calories. And depending on how overweight you are, depending on how old you are, you may have a more severe deficit than some other people might have. For example, my maintenance calories, because I am a 6'2", 22-year-old male that is very active, my maintenance calories is 3,300 calories per day. That's if I wanted to maintain my weight and stay the same weight for a very long time. I could eat 3,300 calories, I would not change. Now, if my maintenance calories are around 3,300 calories and I wanted to go into a cut and lose weight, my calorie deficit would be around 2,600 to 2,800 calories, depending on my activity level for the day. Now, that's because I'm a very active, young male and I'm very tall. My height, age, weight, and activity level all determine what my deficit was going to be. If my activity levels were lower, then my deficit would be lower. If I was older, my deficit would be lower. All of these things contribute into how deep your calorie deficit needs to be and what your actual maintenance calories are going to be in the first place. But as long as you are eating at least 300 to 400 calories below your maintenance calories, you will slowly begin to lose weight. It's a fact of life. If you eat less than what you require to maintain, you will drop weight. That is the most essential key to weight loss. Whether you want to lose 50 pounds, whether you want to lose 10 pounds, whether you want to lose 300 pounds, as long as you are eating at a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. guaranteed. Alright guys, so that wraps it up for today's video. Before we close out the video, I want to give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, Rose Gold and Black. They make my favorite bracelets, all of my favorite jewelry pieces. I absolutely love their stuff. They take my style to the next level and they support me as a creator. Therefore, they support the ability for me to put out more content for you guys. So I would super appreciate it if you click on that link in the description and head over to rosegoldandblack.com. Pick out some of your favorite jewelry pieces. It's already going to be discounted because we have a special link down there and it gives you a great deal for some of the most awesome jewelry on the market. Head over to their website, guys, show them some love, order some of this stuff because it takes your style to the next level, and don't forget to let them know who sent you. Alright guys, if you like this content, hit that subscribe button down below, join the crew family. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, which is crazy. I can't even believe it. I can't even begin to thank you guys enough for all of your amazing support and love. The crew is so freaking strong. You guys blow my mind. You blow me away every single day. You are amazing. If you're not a part of the crew already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications bell so you can see when I post a video next. Give this video a big fat thumbs up if you liked it. Drop your comments in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys next week. Me and Milo are out. Say bye. Say bye.